pause whatever you're thinking about right now for just one moment, because what I'm about to share could completely reshape how you understand your existence. Have you ever experienced that deep knowing that something fundamental was missing from everything you learned about life, consciousness, and your true nature? That nagging sense that someone deliberately removed crucial chapters from the story of who you really are? Your instincts were absolutely correct. Over a millennium ago, an ancient text surfaced that contained humanity's most protected truth, and it was systematically removed from collective awareness. Not through accident or neglect, but because it reveals a capability that certain forces prefer you never discover. The understanding of your soul's actual preparation before entering this physical realm. Today, this knowledge emerges from the shadows. This forbidden manuscript, known to initiates as the Codex Animi, details the precise phases your consciousness navigates before incarnation. Written over 12 centuries ago by a clandestine order of consciousness explorers, it contains detailed maps of the soul's complete journey through pre-existence, embodiment, and beyond, revealing truths that institutions have concealed to maintain dominance over human perception. Each phase unveils aspects of your authentic identity and illuminates what you were systematically programmed to forget. Picture understanding with absolute clarity why you emerged into this specific family constellation, in this particular physical form, at this exact moment in history. Imagine recognizing your deepest struggles and most profound wounds as intentional elements of a far grander design, a blueprint consciously selected by your own higher awareness before descending into matter. We're not discussing abstract theories or contemporary spiritual concepts. We're exploring an ancient cartography of consciousness, protected across centuries, transmitted only to select initiates, hidden from mainstream awareness. When you access this understanding, your entire existence transforms. You recognize that nothing unfolds randomly. Every consciousness that intersects your path carries purpose. Every challenge serves as a catalyst towards something more expansive. Most significantly, you realize there are no accidental victims in this universe. You are, and have always been, the conscious architect of your journey. Embracing this truth becomes your first step away from powerlessness, shame, and fear toward commanding your authentic existence. How often have you gazed at your life wondering, what's my true purpose here? What meaning lies beneath all these experiences? Most humans navigate existence feeling like passengers on an uncontrolled vehicle. Circumstances arise, relationships form and dissolve, obstacles appear and disappear, and everything feels completely beyond our influence. That sensation of inner void, of missing direction, doesn't manifest accidentally. It's the natural consequence of forgetting our true identity and our reason for being here. But consider this. What if before your birth, you possessed complete understanding of the purpose behind every step you would take? According to this forbidden text, before incarnating, your consciousness undergoes an intensive preparation sequence. You, as sovereign awareness, deliberately selected your genetic lineage, your physical vessel, the trials you would encounter, the missions you would undertake. Everything was determined from a state of absolute clarity and wisdom, without fear or uncertainty. Your soul understood that every experience, including the most challenging ones, would prove essential for your expansion. Just as precious metals require intense heat for purification, your consciousness knew that only through direct experience could it magnify its luminosity. The most remarkable aspect, you never made these choices alone. You received guidance from luminous beings, ascended teachers, spiritual advisors, loving consciousnesses who assisted you in designing the optimal lifetime for your evolution. When you grasp that nothing occurs by accident, your perception of existence shifts dramatically. Suffering transforms from punishment into training. Losses stop being penalties and become opportunities for creating space for greater possibilities. Difficulties cease being burdens and become keys to your next level of development. This awareness transmutes suffering into empowerment, fear into wisdom, doubt into unshakable faith. The Codex Animi reveals that this preparation process follows a precise sequence, 7 distinct phases that your soul navigates with mathematical precision. Each phase builds upon the previous one, creating a complete blueprint for your incarnation. Understanding these phases doesn't just satisfy curiosity. It provides you with a roadmap back to your authentic self. It becomes the key to unlocking the mysteries of your current existence and the power to consciously participate in your own evolution. Close your eyes briefly and ask yourself, if this understanding resonates within you like an ancient remembrance, then you're prepared to recall your soul's journey. Let me guide you through the 7 sacred phases your consciousness navigates before birth, as revealed in the Codex Animi. Before incarnating, your soul traverses 7 distinct preparation stages. These stages function like the hidden dimensions of existence, where all preliminary work occurs. Each stage serves a specific function. Each stage shapes your essence. And understanding this process is like receiving back your original map, the map that was confiscated at the moment of your arrival. Phase 1. The invitation from universal source. Many of us move through life carrying a subtle, almost imperceptible yearning, a longing for something we cannot name, a sense that something remains incomplete even when external circumstances appear perfect. This feeling isn't imagination. It's an echo from the first phase of your soul's journey, the invitation from universal source. According to the Codex Animi, everything begins when universal source, the infinite intelligence that orchestrates all existence, extends an invitation. This invitation isn't a command or demand. It's a loving summons, a silent frequency that transcends dimensions and reaches your consciousness wherever it resides. But here's what makes this invitation so profound. It's not random. Universal Source doesn't randomly select souls for incarnation. The invitation comes when your consciousness has reached a specific level of readiness, when certain lessons can only be learned through physical experience, when your soul's evolution requires the particular catalyst that embodied life provides. The invitation carries within it a complete energy signature of what your upcoming incarnation could become. Like a holographic seed, it contains all possibilities, all potential experiences, all growth opportunities that await. Your soul doesn't just hear this invitation, it feels the entire lifetime compressed into a single moment of infinite knowing. When your soul receives this invitation, it remembers. The moment has arrived to expand once more, to experience a new adventure, to return to the sacred dance of physical existence. In that instant, you, as free consciousness, possess the ultimate choice to accept or decline this calling. And understand this clearly. If you're receiving these words now, it's because eons ago you said yes. You chose to return, you chose to experience, you chose to feel, love, grow, stumble, and begin again. The acceptance of this invitation creates what the Codex calls the first resonance, a vibrational agreement between your soul and the creative force of the universe. This resonance becomes the foundation frequency that will guide every subsequent choice in your preparation process. It's like tuning a cosmic instrument to the exact pitch required for your soul's symphony. Even now, while embodied, the invitation continues reverberating. It surfaces during quiet moments, in the wonder of a child's laughter, in the beauty of a sunset that moves you to tears without explanation, in that restlessness that drives you to seek answers conventional society never provided. These moments aren't random. They're your soul recognizing the same frequency that called it into existence. Recognizing this invitation means acknowledging that you transcend mere physical form. It means accepting that your existence serves a purpose far greater than simply working, paying obligations, and following predetermined patterns. When you begin consciously responding to this invitation, your life transforms. You start seeking deeper meaning in your decisions. You feel compelled to align with your soul's truth. You begin remembering, even without understanding the mechanism. The invitation from Universal Source carries another crucial element: the promise of return. Your soul knows that no matter how deep into forgetfulness it might travel, no matter how lost it might become in the density of physical existence, the same love that invited it will always be there to guide it home. This promise becomes an invisible thread connecting you to your source throughout every moment of incarnated life. If this invitation vibrates within you now, understand this: you're ready to remember what you've temporarily forgotten. Phase 2. The consciousness review. Do you carry guilt and regrets that seem to anchor you in place? How many times have you found yourself thinking, if only I had chosen differently? If only I'd expressed what I kept silent? If only I could return and change everything? Most of us exist trapped by these invisible constraints. Regrets from previous choices, guilt that paralyzes forward movement, mistakes that feel unforgivable. Yet deep within, we sense that all of this contributes to something far more significant. What if I revealed that even before your birth, your soul had already examined all of this and infinitely more through a single profound experience of expanded awareness? According to the Codex Animi, the second phase of your soul's journey involves the consciousness review. Before entering a new physical form, your soul receives an invitation to revisit everything it experienced in previous existences. This review differs completely from any human judgment system. No punitive deity points accusingly. No shame exists. No condemnation occurs. Only pure awareness and unconditional love. The consciousness review unfolds in what the Codex describes as the Chamber of Truth, a dimension where all illusions dissolve and only authentic experience remains. Here, your soul witnesses its entire evolutionary journey with perfect clarity. You see not just your actions, but the motivations behind them, the fears that drove certain choices, the love that inspired others. You experience, from the first-person perspective, each action you performed and its impact on others. If you caused pain, you feel that being suffering. If you facilitated healing, you feel their joy. If you inspired someone, you feel that person's consciousness expand. But the review goes deeper than simple cause and effect. You experience the quantum entanglement of every interaction, how your thoughts, emotions, and intentions created ripples throughout the collective consciousness field. The consciousness review serves as a profound lesson in empathy and cosmic responsibility, not to punish you, but to educate you for continued growth and evolution. Your soul observes patterns that repeated across lifetimes, relationships that carried forward through multiple incarnations, lessons that remained unlearned despite numerous opportunities. What emerges from this review isn't judgment, but understanding. Your soul recognizes which experiences expanded its capacity for love and which experiences contracted it. It sees how every apparent mistake was actually a necessary step in its evolution, how every wound became a source of wisdom, how every challenge was perfectly designed to develop specific qualities of consciousness. Understanding that your soul has already completely reviewed your actions fundamentally changes how you process mistakes and regrets. You recognize that errors aren't endpoints, they're learning instruments. Guilt becomes a prison. Awareness becomes liberation. Forgiveness isn't a favor granted to others. It's a gift offered to your own consciousness. From this understanding, you can begin existing with greater lightness, deeper compassion, and enhanced responsibility. The beauty lies in knowing you can, at any moment, transform the impact you're creating. The consciousness review also reveals something remarkable. Every soul you've ever encountered has played a specific role in your evolution, and you've played a specific role in theirs. The person who hurt you most deeply may have been fulfilling a soul contract to help you develop forgiveness. The one who challenged you most intensely may have agreed to push you toward your greatest breakthrough. This is where the true depth of consciousness mastery begins. When you realize that your entire existence operates as a frequency transmission broadcasting through the quantum field. While we're exploring these soul preparation stages today, there's a complete system for understanding how consciousness creates reality through 9 distinct master frequencies. If you're ready to dive deeper into this framework of conscious transmission, I've compiled everything into my guide, Beyond the Frequencies, a quantum guide to consciousness mastery, where you'll discover how to shift from unconscious broadcasting to deliberate reality creation. It's linked in the pinned comment below. Imagine conducting your own consciousness review now, while time remains to change what requires changing. Close your eyes and inquire within. If I reviewed my life today, what would I want to transform? What impact am I creating on those who cross my path? What legacy do I want to inscribe upon the eternity of my soul? This awareness becomes a precious gift. But here's what the ancient text reveals that modern spirituality often misses. During this review, your soul doesn't just observe, it actually experiences the quantum entanglement of every interaction. You feel how your thoughts, not just actions, rippled through the collective consciousness. You understand how your internal state influenced the morphic field around you. This is why the review encompasses not just what you did, but who you were being in each moment. Phase 3. The Assembly of Guides. Do you feel like you must make crucial decisions, but don't know where to turn for guidance? So many possibilities, so many potential directions, and often the sensation of being completely isolated in your choices. What if I told you that you've never been alone? That an invisible, loving, and profoundly wise presence has been guiding you since before your first breath. In the third phase of your soul's journey, revealed in the Codex Animi, you encounter those who have walked alongside you since before your initial incarnation, the Assembly of Guides. Following the consciousness review, your soul is transported to a sacred dimension, a realm of pure light and awareness, where it convenes with the Assembly of Guides. Envision a luminous space vibrating with unconditional love. Beings of radiant light, ancient beyond measure, infinitely compassionate, immeasurably wise, gather in your presence. They know you more intimately than you know yourself. They remember all your journeys, your struggles, your triumphs. These beings don't judge, they embrace. Together, you examine the lessons your soul still desires to master, the wounds that require healing, the capabilities your consciousness yearns to develop. Within this assembly, the blueprint for your upcoming life takes shape. The Assembly of Guides operates as a cosmic council of wisdom, each member bringing specific expertise to your soul's development. Some guides specialize in emotional healing, others in intellectual expansion, others in spiritual awakening. Some have incarnated many times and understand the challenges of physical existence, while others have never left the spiritual dimensions and maintain pure connection to universal truth. What makes this assembly remarkable is that every member has a personal connection to your soul's evolution. They're not assigned randomly. Each guide has earned their place through their own journey toward mastery. Some may be souls you've known across multiple lifetimes. Others may be aspects of your own consciousness from parallel dimensions. And still others may be beings who achieved enlightenment and chose to dedicate their existence to supporting other souls' evolution. You explore which challenges you'll choose to encounter, which souls you'll meet as allies, teachers, or catalysts, what greater mission your consciousness will seek to fulfill. And yes, you actively participate in this planning. Nothing gets imposed. You choose with complete awareness. The assembly doesn't just plan your upcoming life. They also establish what the Codex calls intervention points. These are moments throughout your incarnation when, if you become too lost or veer too far from your chosen path, they can provide guidance through dreams, synchronicities, intuitive insights, or chance encounters. These intervention points serve as safety nets, ensuring that no soul ever becomes completely disconnected from its purpose. Knowing that you've always maintained a loving spiritual team at your side completely transforms your perception of existence. You begin recognizing that powerful intuitions aren't mere impressions. They're signals transmitted by this assembly. Significant dreams, synchronistic encounters, even challenging experiences can be elements of the blueprint drawn with love. Furthermore, you understand that you can reconnect with your assembly even now. Through meditation, authentic prayer, profound silence, you can hear these ancient voices again. You can request clarity, strength, direction. The assembly never abandons you. They simply wait for you to remember how to listen. The guides communicate through a language beyond words, a transmission of pure understanding that bypasses the mental filters of incarnated consciousness. When you receive guidance from your assembly, it doesn't come as commands or demands, but as gentle influences that feel like your own highest knowing. This is why following your deepest intuition often feels like coming home to yourself. What the Codex reveals that most don't understand. This assembly includes not just guides who've never incarnated, but also aspects of your own higher consciousness from parallel timelines and future evolutionary states. You're literally receiving guidance from the wisest versions of yourself across all dimensions of existence. Phase 4. The selection of sacred purpose. Days flowing identically, dreams feeling distant. A persistent sense that you were designed for something greater, but haven't yet discovered what. That feeling of emptiness isn't an error. It's evidence that somewhere your soul still remembers the mission it chose, but that you forgot while crossing the threshold of physical existence. After reviewing your past experiences and planning your next steps with the Assembly of Guides, arrives the most sacred moment of all, the selection of your sacred purpose. According to the Codex Animi, consciousness never incarnates without intention. It chooses, with clarity and love, what will be the primary lesson, the fundamental transformation, the significant impact it will pursue in this existence. This purpose selection process unfolds in what the ancient text describes as the chamber of infinite possibility. Here, your soul witnesses countless potential purposes, each one perfectly designed to catalyze specific aspects of your evolution. The chamber reveals how each possible purpose would unfold across your lifetime, showing not just the challenges and gifts involved, but the ripple effects your chosen mission would create throughout the collective consciousness. This purpose can manifest in countless ways: healing ancestral patterns from previous lifetimes, developing courage or compassion, awakening and inspiring other souls, bringing new abilities and wisdom into the world, serving as a bridge between dimensions of consciousness. Each purpose remains unique, each mission irreplaceable. Most importantly, your soul never selects an impossible purpose for itself. You arrived containing everything necessary to fulfill what you chose. The selection process involves something the Codex calls purpose resonance testing. Your soul literally vibrates at different frequencies as it contemplates each potential mission. When you encounter your true purpose, a harmonic resonance occurs, a perfect alignment between your soul's essence and the mission's requirements. This resonance creates an energetic signature that will guide you throughout your incarnation, even when you've forgotten your conscious purpose. The primary key to remembering your purpose involves paying attention to what deeply ignites your soul. Ask yourself, what situations awaken my passion and energy? What kinds of challenges in the world would I love to resolve? What would I do with joy even without receiving external rewards? Your purpose hides within these simple answers. It doesn't exist outside you, waiting to be discovered like buried treasure. It already pulses within your heart like a gentle flame awaiting nourishment. Moreover, the challenges that repeat most frequently in your life also provide precious clues. Your greatest wounds carry the seeds of your purpose. What wounded you most deeply in the past may be precisely what you came to heal within yourself and others. But here's the deeper truth the Codex reveals. Your sacred purpose isn't just about this lifetime. It's part of a multidimensional mission that spans across multiple incarnations and reality streams. What you're healing or creating here sends ripples across all timelines, affecting not just your current existence, but your soul's entire evolutionary journey. You're not just living one life. You're participating in a cosmic symphony of consciousness expansion. Your purpose also carries what the ancient text calls a completion signature, a specific vibrational frequency that your soul will recognize when the mission reaches fulfillment. This doesn't mean your purpose ends when you achieve certain goals, but rather that you'll know when you've successfully embodied the consciousness qualities your mission was designed to develop. And this is where everything begins to accelerate. When you understand that your purpose operates as a frequency transmission, a conscious broadcasting of your soul's essence into the quantum field, you realize you're not seeking your purpose, you're becoming it. Phase 5. The selection of form and lineage. Many people believe that birth represents a random occurrence, that you simply appear in any family, in any body, in any location. But the Codex Animi reveals something profoundly different. You chose everything. Before incarnating, your soul, in complete awareness, was guided to envision different possibilities of physical forms, family bloodlines, social and historical contexts. Among all available options, you selected the one that best aligned with your sacred purpose. The selection process unfolds in what the ancient text describes as the Hall of Incarnation Possibilities. Here, your soul observes countless potential physical experiences, each one offering different opportunities for growth and different challenges to overcome. You witness how each possible body would affect your soul's expression, how each family system would influence your development, how each historical period would provide specific lessons for your evolution. I understand this concept can be challenging to accept, especially when we observe lives filled with trauma, abandonment, poverty, abuse. It may seem impossible to imagine that someone would choose to experience such difficulties. But your soul doesn't think like the human personality. It perceives every challenge as an instrument, every wound as a catalyst for awakening. It chooses not the simplest path, but the most powerful for its evolution. Your soul's selection process involves examining what the Codex calls karmic intersections, points where your consciousness can heal not just personal patterns, but generational and collective wounds. When you choose a specific family lineage, you're not just selecting parents and siblings. You're choosing to work with ancestral patterns that may have remained unhealed for generations. You didn't select your parents for superficial reasons. You chose them for the invisible lessons they carried. Perhaps to learn forgiveness, perhaps to break cycles of trauma that have been repeating for generations, perhaps to strengthen yourself through transcendence. Sometimes you chose parents who would challenge you precisely because your soul needed to develop specific qualities that only arise through overcoming particular difficulties. The same applies to your physical form. You chose the biological characteristics, the genetic inclinations, the limitations or gifts, because they would be perfect for the challenges and achievements you intended to experience. Your body isn't just a vessel. It's a precisely calibrated instrument designed to support your soul's mission. Every physical characteristic, every genetic predisposition, every limitation or gift serves a specific purpose in your soul's evolution. When you understand this, you begin viewing your personal history with transformed eyes. Pain ceases being injustice and becomes purpose. Resentment toward your parents or the environment you were born into can dissolve into understanding. You realize that the souls who challenged you most on earth are often those who loved you most in the spiritual realm, those who agreed to play difficult roles for your growth. If this understanding is shifting something fundamental within you, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to stay connected to this frequency of awakening. The transformation occurs here. When you honor your soul's choices, you unlock the genuine power within you. Instead of feeling like a victim of circumstances, you recognize yourself as a sovereign being who accepted the most courageous mission of all: to live and evolve through the human experience. What the ancient text adds that transforms everything: you didn't just choose your immediate family. You chose your entire ancestral line, knowing that their unresolved patterns would become the raw material for your healing work. You selected a bloodline that carried specific frequencies, traumas, and gifts that would either support or challenge your mission in precisely the way your soul needed for maximum growth. The Codex reveals that some souls specifically choose difficult family circumstances because they possess the spiritual strength to transform those patterns. These souls are what the text calls pattern breakers, conscious beings who incarnate specifically to heal ancestral wounds and create new possibilities for future generations. If you found yourself naturally healing family patterns or breaking generational cycles, you may be one of these courageous souls. Phase 6. The threshold of amnesia. After selecting your mission, your physical form, your family lineage, comes the most delicate moment of your soul's journey, crossing the threshold of amnesia. In the spiritual dimension, your soul knows everything. It remembers all its existences, understands the purpose of each incarnation, feels unity with all that is. But for the human experience to be authentic, intense, and transformative, forgetting becomes necessary. You must be born without memories, like a fresh canvas. The Codex Animi describes this moment as a gentle crossing, a portal of luminous mist where, upon passage, your soul releases all awareness of eternal truths, not as punishment, not as curse, but by conscious choice. The threshold exists as a necessary component of the incarnation process because consciousness requires contrast to grow. If you incarnated with full memory of your spiritual nature, every choice would be easy. Every lesson would be intellectual rather than experiential. Every challenge would lack the intensity required for genuine transformation. Imagine attempting to play a game where you already know all outcomes. There would be no excitement, no growth. Uncertainty, mystery, doubt, challenges, all of this is part of the design. The threshold creates what makes the experience of life real. It's what allows you to learn to love in darkness, to trust the invisible, to find your way without a conscious map. This is why you don't remember the assembly of guides. This is why you don't recall choosing your parents. This is why you often feel lost. The threshold was created with love, so that every step would be genuine. But the threshold isn't perfect. It remains thin in certain places, in dreams, in powerful intuitions, in moments of profound silence. You feel echoes of your true origin. You feel homesick for a place you cannot locate. You sense that something greater awaits beyond what physical eyes can perceive. That longing, that searching, is your soul itself attempting to pierce the threshold, trying to remember. The amnesia created by the threshold operates on multiple levels. On the surface level, you forget your spiritual origins and incarnation planning. On a deeper level, you forget your innate connection to universal consciousness. On the deepest level, you forget that you are consciousness itself, temporarily expressing through human form. Yet the threshold contains what the Codex calls remembering codes, specific triggers embedded in your consciousness that can activate sudden moments of recognition. These codes might be activated by certain music, natural environments, spiritual practices, or encounters with particular souls. When a remembering code activates, you experience a moment of knowing that transcends normal understanding. The most beautiful truth is that you can begin dissolving this threshold now, consciously. When you meditate, when you pay attention to subtle signs, when you follow your intuition without fear, small openings begin to appear. The light of your authentic self starts filtering through. You remember that you are not merely this body, not simply this name, not just this story. You are eternal. Even if you've forgotten temporarily, even if you've doubted, your essence has never changed. It has only slumbered, waiting for the perfect moment to awaken. Here's what the Codex reveals about the threshold that changes everything. It's not just about forgetting your spiritual origins. It's about entering a specific frequency band of consciousness that allows you to participate in collective human experience. The amnesia isn't complete erasure. It's like tuning a radio to a specific station while still having access to all other frequencies if you know how to adjust the dial. Pause for a moment and share in the comments. What's one memory or experience that felt like an echo from before this lifetime? Your insights help awaken the collective remembering. Phase 7. The leap of trust, incarnation. After crossing the threshold of amnesia, after releasing conscious memory of everything you planned, you arrive at the most courageous moment of your soul's journey, incarnation. The Codex Animi describes this moment as the ultimate leap of trust. You, an eternal consciousness filled with wisdom and love, dive into the dense layers of physical existence without guarantees, without certainties, without conscious memories. Only pure faith, only the invisible impulse of one who knows that life is the pathway to expansion. This leap represents perhaps the greatest act of courage in all existence. You leave the vastness of infinity to enter a fragile and vulnerable body. You accept the limitations of matter. You accept pain, fear, loss. You accept forgetting who you are, so that through each human experience you can remember again. The incarnation process itself unfolds through what the ancient text describes as dimensional compression. Your soul, which exists across multiple dimensions simultaneously, must compress itself into the singular focus required for human consciousness. This compression doesn't diminish your soul. It intensifies its experience, like focusing sunlight through a magnifying glass. As incarnation begins, your consciousness aligns with the developing fetal brain, gradually integrating with the biological systems that will support your earthly expression. This integration process follows precise timing, with different aspects of your consciousness coming online at different stages of development. The heart connection often establishes first, followed by the integration of emotional capacity, and finally, the mental structures that will allow for complex thought. You are born small, defenseless. You breathe for the first time. You cry. The physical world welcomes you, harsh and wonderful simultaneously. Warmth, cold, touch, everything is new. But within you, something ancient remains. The spark of remembrance. That first breath carries profound significance. It represents your soul's commitment to the human experience. With that breath, you accept not just physical life, but all the challenges, joys, sorrows, and triumphs that await. You agree to participate fully in the grand experiment of consciousness, exploring itself through form. Early childhood represents the period when the soul maintains strong connection to its origin. Small children speak about past lives, converse with invisible friends, have dreams that seem like messages from other dimensions. Their consciousness hasn't yet fully integrated with the limitations of physical reality, leaving windows open to expanded awareness. But gradually, the threshold becomes denser. Society shapes, conditions, teaches you to forget. School systems that prioritize conformity over creativity, religious institutions that teach separation rather than unity, cultural messages that promote fear over love. All of these contribute to the deepening amnesia. Yet you never forget completely. In moments of silence, of profound pain, of inexplicable joy, your soul whispers. It remembers the leap you took, remembers why you came. If you listen, even for just an instant, you will feel that you are exactly where you're meant to be. Each challenge you face offers a chance to remember. Each love you experience echoes eternal truth. Each new beginning reminds you that you were once courageous and can be again. Take a deep breath now. Feel the weight of your own courage. You agreed to be born, agreed to forget, agreed to play the most challenging game of all, to live as human while attempting to remember that you are divine. Birth isn't just the beginning of physical life. It's the commencement of the great adventure of consciousness seeking its own light. Now that you remember this, there's no returning to unconsciousness. But here's the profound truth the Codex adds. The moment of birth creates a unique quantum signature that becomes your personal frequency throughout this lifetime. Every cell in your body carries the vibrational imprint of that first breath, that first cry, that first moment of forgetting. This signature becomes your key to remembering. When you learn to attune to your birth frequency through specific practices, you can access the memories and wisdom you came in with. Why this knowledge was concealed. Now that you've begun remembering, an inevitable question emerges. Why was all of this concealed from us? If our soul navigates this sacred process before birth, if each life contains purpose, if we are the architects of our own existence, why were we taught to live as powerless? Why did we grow up believing we are small, limited, unworthy? The answer is straightforward and stark. Because conscious souls are not easily controlled. Since the emergence of civilizations, those who held power discovered a dangerous truth. A human being who remembers their true nature does not accept manipulation, does not accept living in fear, does not accept the illusion of separation. Imagine a humanity where each person knew they are eternal, that they chose to be here, that they are co-creators of their own reality. Governments, religions, institutions would lose the ability to dictate behavior through fear, guilt, punishment. Control mechanisms used for millennia would simply cease functioning. This is why this knowledge was concealed, not just hidden. It was intentionally erased, distorted, discredited. The Codex Animi is merely one among many forbidden texts. Manuscripts that spoke of consciousness's journey were banned, burned, buried in history. Teachers who attempted to remind humanity of their true nature were persecuted, ridiculed, silenced. The concealment operated through multiple strategies. Religious institutions replaced direct spiritual experience with dogmatic belief systems. Educational systems prioritized memorization over critical thinking and inner knowing. Media and entertainment industries promoted messages of powerlessness, materialism, and separation. Medical systems pathologized spiritual experiences and medicated away expanded states of consciousness. But perhaps the most effective concealment strategy was the gradual disconnection from nature. Indigenous cultures maintained connection to the truth about consciousness and incarnation because they lived in harmony with natural cycles and cosmic rhythms. As humanity moved into artificial environments, surrounded by technology and separated from natural wisdom, the amnesia deepened. The concealment also involved the suppression of feminine wisdom traditions. Many of the ancient texts about the soul's journey were preserved by feminine mystery schools and goddess traditions. As patriarchal systems gained dominance, these wisdom keepers were marginalized, persecuted, and their knowledge was systematically destroyed or hidden. But truth possesses its own power. It cannot be buried forever. It lives in the margins of ancient books, in the messages of dreams, in the whispers of your own heart. You feel it, don't you? That internal restlessness, that knowing that there's infinitely more than what was told. It's your soul attempting to break through the wall of illusions that was constructed around you. The encouraging news is, no one can prevent your soul from awakening. The power to remember who you are has always been and will always be within you. Now, knowing this, you have a choice. You can return to sleep as those who built the forgetting desire, or you can move forward, break old patterns, and live as what you have always been, an eternal, free, and conscious being. What the Codex reveals that modern awakening movements miss: the concealment wasn't just about control. It was also about creating the perfect conditions for the most powerful awakening in human history. The deeper the forgetting, the more profound the remembering. We're living in the time when the veil becomes so thin that mass awakening becomes inevitable. The concealment was temporary by cosmic design. How to begin remembering your true nature? Now that you understand the truth was concealed, the next question becomes inevitable. How do you begin remembering your true nature? The Codex Animi reveals that the memory of consciousness is not completely erased. It remains dormant, like a seed beneath the earth, waiting for the right conditions to flourish. These conditions can be deliberately created. Remembering who you are doesn't happen in a magical instant. It's a process, a gradual reunion with what has always existed within you. The more you align with certain practices and signs, the easier it becomes to dissolve the threshold and allow your authentic light to emerge. It begins with silence. Modern life is noisy, chaotic, filled with distractions, and this is intentional, because in silence, you begin hearing what was forgotten. Meditating, even for a few minutes daily, is like igniting a lantern in the darkness of consciousness. Each deep breath, each moment of presence, brings you closer to your essence. The practice of silence doesn't require complex techniques or years of training. Simply sitting quietly, breathing naturally, and allowing your mind to settle creates openings in the amnesia veil. In these moments of stillness, fragments of your true nature begin to surface. Subtle knowings, gentle guidances, whispers of ancient wisdom. Then there are dreams. The Codex reveals that during sleep, consciousness partially liberates itself from the body's limitations. Lucid dreams, out-of-body experiences, recurring symbols, all of these are fragments of memory from your true origin attempting to reach you. Don't ignore your dreams. Record them. Contemplate them. Ask yourself, what is my soul attempting to remind me? Many people experience dreams where they encounter someone they've never met in this life, yet upon waking, feel the intense sensation of having known them for eternity. Or dreams of places and environments that feel completely familiar and like home, despite never having visited them in this physical existence. These dreams aren't random neural firings. They're memories bleeding through the amnesia threshold, fragments of your soul's preparation process, attempting to reach your conscious awareness. Another powerful approach is following your intuition. Logic has been elevated in the modern world as the only reliable path, but consciousness whispers through intuition. Sometimes, without apparent reason, you feel compelled to change direction, speak to someone, begin a new project. These impulses, when pure and aligned, are not coincidences. They are memories of consciousness in action. Your intuition operates as a direct communication channel with your assembly of guides. When you receive intuitive guidance, it often feels like your own knowing because it's filtered through your unique consciousness. The key is learning to distinguish between ego-driven impulses and soul-guided intuition. True intuitive guidance carries a quality of peace, even when it suggests challenging actions. It feels expansive rather than contractive, loving rather than fearful. Nature serves as another powerful catalyst for remembering. The natural world operates according to the same consciousness principles that governed your soul's preparation process. When you spend time in nature, walking in forests, sitting by oceans, gazing at stars, you reconnect with the frequencies that existed before your incarnation. Many people report profound spiritual experiences in natural settings because these environments thin the amnesia veil. The ancient text reveals specific practices that accelerate remembering. Sacred geometry, certain sound frequencies, specific breathing patterns, and particular forms of movement can all activate dormant memories. These practices work because they replicate the vibrational states your soul experienced during its preparation phases. Breathwork, in particular, provides a direct pathway to expanded awareness. The same breath that committed you to incarnation can liberate you from the limitations of incarnated consciousness. Through conscious breathing techniques, you can access non-ordinary states of consciousness, where memories of your soul's journey become accessible. Sacred plant medicines, when approached with proper preparation and guidance, can temporarily dissolve the amnesia threshold entirely. Many people report encountering their spiritual guides, witnessing their incarnation planning, and receiving direct knowledge of their soul's purpose through these experiences. However, the Codex emphasizes that while these substances can provide glimpses of truth, lasting remembering requires integration through daily practice. Above all, remember, you are not alone. The assembly of guides, your spiritual teachers, your own higher essence, they are all still here, waiting for you to create space for reunion. When you sincerely request assistance, the universe responds. Always. The process of remembering often begins with what seems like coincidences. You encounter the same message repeatedly through different sources, meet people who share similar experiences, discover books or teachings that speak directly to your soul. These apparent coincidences are actually your guides orchestrating synchronicities to help you remember. Physical symptoms can also indicate awakening memories. Many people experience energy surges, changes in sleep patterns, heightened sensitivity to emotions and environments, or sudden knowing without logical explanation. These symptoms occur because your consciousness is expanding beyond the limitations established at birth. Awakening is an act of courage. It's stepping out of autopilot. It's refusing the narrative of fear, limitation, and guilt. It's choosing every day to remember, I am eternal. I am light. I am the creator of my reality. Don't wait for the world to change for you to begin. Don't wait for everything to be perfect to act. The world changes when you change. Your life flourishes when you choose to flourish. The remembering process often involves what the Codex calls reality bridges, experiences that connect your current awareness with your eternal nature. These might manifest as moments of unconditional love, experiences of unity consciousness, sudden understanding of life's deeper patterns, or direct knowing of spiritual truths. If something within you resonated with everything you've heard so far, know this: your awakening has already begun. But here's the practical key the Codex provides that accelerates remembering. There are specific trigger words, sounds, and visual symbols that were encoded into your consciousness before birth. When you encounter these triggers, whether in meditation, nature, art, or music, they create immediate openings in the amnesia veil. Pay attention to what gives you chills, what makes you cry for no reason, what feels like coming home. These are your personal remembering codes. Your remembering codes are unique to your soul's signature frequency. What activates profound recognition in you might have no effect on another person, and vice versa. This is why it's essential to pay attention to your individual responses rather than following generic spiritual practices that work for others. The codes might be activated by specific musical notes, particular combinations of colors, certain geometric patterns, or even specific words or phrases. Some people find their codes in ancient languages they've never studied, others in mathematical concepts that suddenly make perfect sense, still others in artistic expressions that seem to speak directly to their soul. When a remembering code activates, you experience what the Codex calls a recognition event. A moment when your current consciousness recognizes something from its eternal nature. These events often feel like coming home after a long journey, like finding a missing piece of yourself, like suddenly understanding something you've always known but couldn't articulate. Share this video with someone who's ready to remember their true nature, because when you transmit these quantum consciousness principles to another soul, you create an energetic ripple effect that deepens your own understanding while accelerating their awakening. This act of sharing literally strengthens the morphic field of remembering for all of us. Now take a moment and comment below with this phrase: I remember my eternal nature. This isn't just a comment, it's an energetic declaration, a signal to the quantum field that you're ready to step out of the forgetting and into your power. Let this be your conscious interruption in the loop of amnesia. The universe is waiting for you to remember. Your guides are celebrating every step you take toward awakening. And somewhere, in dimensions beyond the physical, the you that chose this life is smiling, knowing that the plan is unfolding perfectly. If this transmission is touching something deep within you, if you feel the call to remember more, then I invite you to subscribe not just to this channel, but to this frequency of awakening. This isn't about consuming content. It's about joining a community of souls who have chosen to remember together, to support each other in breaking through the veil, to anchor this new consciousness on Earth. You are not an accident. You are not a victim. You are not small or powerless or unworthy. You are an eternal being of light who made the ultimate sacrifice, forgetting your divinity so you could experience the ecstasy of remembering it again. And that remembering is happening now, in this moment, through these very words. The more of us who embrace this truth, the more the world reflects that truth. The more of us who live from this knowing, the easier it becomes for others to remember. We are not just awakening individually. We are awakening collectively, creating a new reality where amnesia is no longer necessary, where consciousness can incarnate while retaining its full awareness. The Codex Animi reveals that we are living in what it calls the Great Remembering, a time when the veil between dimensions becomes so thin that mass awakening becomes inevitable. The souls incarnating now chose to be here specifically for this moment, to serve as consciousness bridges between the old paradigm of forgetting and the new paradigm of remembering. This is why you feel different from previous generations. This is why conventional life structures feel inadequate. This is why you're drawn to spiritual awakening and conscious evolution. You are part of the generation that came to midwife humanity's transformation from unconscious to conscious existence. The transition isn't always easy. As you remember your true nature, you may feel increasingly out of sync with societal expectations and conventional reality. This discomfort is natural and necessary. It's your consciousness expanding beyond the limitations that once contained it. Trust the process. Trust your inner knowing. trust that every experience, even the challenging ones, serves your soul's evolution. You chose this incarnation with full awareness of its difficulties because you knew you possessed the strength to transcend them and the wisdom to help others do the same. This is the time. This is the moment. This is why you chose to be here. Welcome home to yourself. Welcome home to the truth of who you've always been. Drop one word in the comments that captures the energy you're choosing to embody as you step into this remembering. Let it be your energetic signature to the quantum field, your declaration that you're ready to live as the eternal being you truly are. And if you're ready to stay connected to this frequency of truth, to continue this journey of remembering together, subscribe not just to stay updated, but to stay aligned with your highest self, to stay coherent with the truth of your eternal nature. The awakening has begun, and it begins with you. Speaking of awakening, understanding how your consciousness creates reality backwards through the quantum field reveals why manifestation works in ways that defy linear thinking. Watch quantum manifestation works backwards, which is why it's so powerful. To discover how your future self is already calling your present reality into existence through quantum entanglement,